Hello, people on the internet watching other people build 3D printers. How's everybody on Saturday? This camera's moving around. I don't like that. And let's see. Let's focus on me. Come on, you can do it. There we go. How's that? Who do we have in chat today? I know it's kind of last minute. I got some free time, so jumped in to try to get some stuff done here. Let's see. Chat, there's my window. Forking leads to spooning. Hey, Mike, Howie, Palms, Tin Talon, Petty Ruxpin. Hey, everybody. Yeah, just trying to get some progress on the SkeleFork. It's been a little while. I don't really like that, and so I want to make sure that we're moving forward. It's been a little bit of a challenge to get two builds simultaneously moving along, and so we need to do some work today. This camera doesn't know how to stay still at all, but we'll see. So I'll tell you what, it's a little bit of a behind the scenes. You guys are members, so let's share some things with you here. I got a box the other day. Oh boy. Oh, I hurt my back too, so it's a little stiff working around here. Let's show you this. So I got this box from the good old Rat Rig. And it's their 4.1 upgrade kit. So there's an orbital board in here. This should mount to the existing orbiter just fine. It's a 2.5 with a sensor, filament runout sensor on it. So that should work. I just opened it. I haven't really looked through this. But these are, I guess, the tool head parts, the CNC'd tool head parts, which are a little bit weird because if we choose to use this, I'm not going to be able to use the tube, and that's disappointing. So I may not use this unless there's some sort of adapter or a different version. And then it comes with this stuff. I don't know. The nut driver. Well, I might use that today. Let's pull that out of there. It's a M3 nut driver. Sweet. Pretty good. Fan grill, that kind of stuff. And then what else do we have in here? A little bit of hardware and a cable. So not a ton of things, but some stuff. And let me put this back in here. You shopping cameras and Mac Minis? Okay. Well, are you trying to stream, Howie? Is that what's going on? You got a 2.5 from 1250. What? Oh, and you didn't share that deal with the class? I'm a little disappointed in you, Howie. I thought we were buddies. What's up, Kegel? So yeah, that's what we got, and then also it comes with a new what's this? A new X Gantry, but it's all wrapped up. I haven't unwrapped it yet. It's supposed to be a steel gantry, more rigid, better expansion with the linear rail. So TBD on when that gets installed, but this is the SkeleFork, kind of where we left off. Mac Mini, just because you want one. Camera from Maker's Making, just to have better than a laptop. Yeah, I keep trying to make the stream and jump in that podcast. It just does not work with my schedule. I don't get off work until like an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours after you guys begin. So it's really difficult for me unless there's some, I don't know, early day or I get the day off. So maybe this coming Friday I'll be able to jump in, but we'll see. I just got 2 sets of all-wheel drive brackets for your 2.4. Nice. Yeah, I made an order from West 3D as well. I think it was yesterday. I needed panels for our legacy fork, so I ordered the panels, and I believe I got a clicky-clack door. So everything. So I ordered the version with the K3 front door, so it doesn't give you the traditional door panels. So it's just the side, back, and top. And then I got a clicky clack door as well for the legacy fork. So that should be here Tuesday, which is unfortunate because we won't be able to install it for the stream this coming week. vidIQ deal is an invite for your credit card app. They really know what you want, I suppose. All right. I don't have a ton of time today. I do have errands to run, but I hope to get a couple of hours of assembly out of this. So let's get started. I think where we left off was like crossbar with AB motor mounts. So I need to get the manual opened up, and also I need to get this bracket installed on here. So that needs to go on there as well. Let me get us over to where we should be, and let's get the manual opened. That's not what we want. We want this. So looking at this, pretty much everything is the same as a stock salad fork, except the one that we're doing has, I want to say pins. I don't remember. It's been so long. I don't remember which one I printed. And that's terrible. Again, just jumped in it to try and move it along. Didn't really super plan, so I need to find parts and stuff. Sorry, team. Yeah, either way, let's get this manual opened up. So if I open this, and probably in here. Hey, good afternoon, Gergman. Trying to get back to our salad fork. There it is. So if I can just do, let's grab this guy and make it bigger. Not so big, we can't see chat, but about right there. So I think this is the part we left off on last. So there should be some other gantry assembly ahead of this. So I think maybe a little bit of adjustment here in the window. Get rid of that and get rid of that. There we go. It's a little better. I know that we left off on the gantry. So about here. Tells us we need a B extrusion with 4 preloaded nuts, a couple for clicky, and then 6 preloaded nuts over here. I don't remember really needing any, oh man, what is it? Any clicky stuff. I thought we were gonna do cartographer on this. That's an option with Mad Max, yeah. Okay, so printers have an A side and a B side. Follows the convention that B side is on the left. So an easy way to remember is to remember a sheep. Held on by M3 by 8 button heads. Okay, let me find some parts. Let me find some parts. So I've got a big box of stuff right here. And I know for sure that I printed all of this because I remember talking about it. What I wasn't sure of at the time is whether or not we're going to be able to use the insert ones that I printed. These do have the Printers for Ants logo on there. And I think these are the ones that I might have modified for this. And I was supposed to go back and install these, and I don't think I ever did. So I don't know. Maybe we'll unbuild a little bit after stream today. But I really want to get the gantry on. That's the kicker. So there's a couple of the parts. They will be double shear. So we have our double shear mounts here. Be on the left, stands out in your head because you always remember they're backwards to what you think. Hey, whatever it takes to remember, do it. Okay. So there are the 4 pieces we need for the gantry. Where's my other blue one, though? Haha, look at that. I printed one of the parts that were supposed to be blue. I printed it in purple because I wasn't paying attention. That's fun. Oh, actually, no. I didn't. It's over here. It fell out somehow. So there's that. So the blue parts should be on the bottom, right? So these are opposite pairs. And then the purple will be up top. Kind of like that. You have the double shear that go in there. And this little twist lock holds the bearing in. Bearing's already installed. And this wants us to start with the bottom, which are the blue ones, the ones I printed in blue at least. This side goes like such, and it's the B side, according to the manual that we have there. So M3x8s. Let's get this thing flipped upside down. I do really enjoy how small this is. Oh, there goes something that fell. We lost the M3 nut somewhere. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll figure it out. I also printed a little something here. This is the hammerhead. And so the idea with this is that it contains 2 of the Wago nuts. So I can connect our bed fans directly here and then just run a single wire back to be able to go out. I also need to relook at this bracket here back for the bed because that bracket is not exactly what I want. I want to have a detachable thermistor back there. So let's get this in frame properly. So B side is left side. That's over here. Go like this so you guys can actually see what's going on. So B side is this guy. Should be like that. And I can already tell that that rail is in the wrong spot because it doesn't allow this to be installed. Well, that's unfortunate. So I guess we'll adjust this forward a little bit. Let's grab a tool. So how's everybody on Saturday? We all have a good week. Hopefully folks are off and not working. And for those that are, I'm sorry. I kind of wish I would have got the inserts for these, the steel backers that go into the extrusion instead of using the M2 nuts. I did not plan that very appropriately. Good week, but really busy and just feeling worn out. Dude, I'm with you, man. It's been a week for me as well. I'm dragging ass today. Can't complain. 3-day weekend for your birthday. Yeah, I get that next week, but I'm also supposed to have a 4-day, but I'm working on Friday, and I'm also catching a flight out of here to Florida on Monday. So I don't really get to enjoy it like I would normally. But yeah, I'm with Petty. It's been a little bit of a rough week. A lot going on. Recently traveled 9 out of 11 days for work. So glad to be back home. Yeah, that sounds like what I'm gonna be doing. So I leave on Monday the 17th. I'll be gone for 2 weeks, 2 different locations over the next 14 days. What do we say? M3x8s. Let's grab our hardware here. In Florida, yeah. Well, the first week's in Florida, the other week's in Illinois. So two different locations. It's fine. I'm used to it. It's just been a little while, and leading up to it is supposed to be a little bit crazy as well. It's just been really busy since we started this year so far. And I have just been exhausted. Been working in a little while. Oh, you're on nights? Gross, man. Who'd you piss off? PM me when you get to Illinois, buy me dinners. I appreciate that. I don't even know if I'll be close. But yeah, if we're close by, I wouldn't mind syncing up with you. No one, it's just shift work. That's, yeah. Happy I don't have to do shift work right now, but I basically do anywhere from 10 to 12-hour days every day. And that's kind of been my schedule for the last 2 years. And going on this trip is in addition to that. So, all right, there's side one. Flip this around. Show you side two. Same deal. This rail is going to have to move forward. You've been doing it for 16 years? Shift work for 16 years? Yeah, I'm talking just this job. I've been doing the job I'm currently doing for the last 2 years. But like all the travel and the craziness, that's been 23. So not complaining at all, just saying. Been kind of busy. All right. Your work territory is Illinois. Jeez. You just drive everywhere? Howie's in number 2. Kago is coming from your number 1 spot. Transit can. I think you mean transit van. Transit can was pretty funny though. Yeah, I give it to the folks that travel like that, you know, all day, every day. That's quite a lot. Just getting those fingers tight on there. Just past snug. A and B is good now. What are we doing up top here? So it looks like an M3x6 for the 2Z brackets. M3x6, okay. M3x6. So I've got one on there already. And I think that's because I had to reprint the other one. And it looks like they are offset with the gap at the rear here. And so the correct orientation is like that. And 3x6, where is that? I don't know if I have any of those spread out, but I do have a ton of extra hardware over here. So that's the extra kit that I already had. And then the one that came with the West 3D kit is here. So I sort of have double hardware unintentionally. I think I got the SkeleFork, that other SkeleFork kit, because it was on sale or clearance or something. And I was like, ooh, that'd be a great way to just stock up on random hardware. So I got it. And then I think the idea is to do a mini legacy with that eventually. These are all the copper hardware that we're going to need. There's some ultralight pins. Probably need that here pretty soon, so we'll put that to the side. These are the connections we'll need for the carriage. So this is a lot of the Mad Max stuff. There's some more copper screws there. We'll put all that to the side. I'm looking for the M3x6s. I don't think I have those. More copper screws, more pins. There's the Delrin pins that you need for the Maxwell coupling. So I believe we have all the parts for that. Your work travel schedule is picking up, really getting in the way of your hobbies. Dude, I'm with you. I wish I could just take some time off, take some vacation time, and do some of this. It's just not happening right now. All right, so we're gonna use socket head because I don't have any button heads handy. V0 goes with you for little projects? Dude, you need a positron, man. I have not taken my positron anywhere in a while. The last time I took it anywhere was to Rocky Mountain last year. And once I got back, it has been in the same case it was in last year when I put it away. I really don't play with that thing enough. Okay, so that is on there. Looking good. Let's see, this other side, for some reason I put a washer on here. I don't know why I did that. Probably because the hardware was too long. Let's try something. Let's take that off of there. Measure this out. Some of your customers are DC local and some aren't. You're all driving, big difference. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, when I used to be on the road a lot, I was gone enough to make like triple my regular pay when I was younger, right? So when I first started doing what I do, I was gone a lot. And I was making like triple my pay based on per diem and all those kinds of things for each day you're gone, incentive pays and all that kind of stuff. And then as I started to move up a little bit, the flying becomes a little less and then a little less. And then eventually you don't really fly that much at all. The next generation of young guys fly. Put the bed down and zip tie the head, close it up in a foam line case. Hey, I mean, V0 can travel pretty well if you have the hardware and the case to do it. It's only an issue when you don't. So if you're just trying to carry it loosely, it can be a pain. You get home most nights. But still, that's like, what, 12 hours of driving or something like that, Howie? It's a lot of miles and not a lot of moving around. That's the thing that drives me nuts, is not being able to move around. All right, and so now we're going to add on this cross beam. My Gantry is here. We did this last time we streamed. So this one's all greased and lubed and assembled. So that'll be the X-beam. This spare piece has to be the cross beam that goes across here. I have not put any of the heat inserts into this, but you can see that here we're good on lasering, and this one is a little bit less lasered just based on the way that the pattern lines up. And so what I'm going to do is put that one towards the rear, because we'll have a back panel here and you won't see this. And that's my idea. So we'll just do it that way. Move those down, these little brackets here. We'll move those just below flush on the extrusion. We'll get this one installed, have it sort of centered between the two. And so I know that there are 2 holes in either one of these, and so we need 4 nuts there. And then if we're going to use a clicky probe, I remember that I'll need an additional 2 nuts in the front side of that. But the double check, I'm going to scroll up in the manual a little bit and correct. So it looks like on one edge, we'll need 4. I don't understand why, but we'll get there. And then 2 nuts for clicky. If you are planning to use clicky as a Z-homing solution, preload 2 nuts on the front of this extrusion as well. Not doing that. So it looks like 6 on the bottom. That's 2 for each of the brackets, and then 2 for the Z bracket here. So that's a total of 6 underneath. And then on the top of this, there are 4, and that would be for your upper mounts here to go into. So this one will go like so. These do look like the ones that, oh geez, actually no. So these take hardware. So there are M3 holes there. And it's also not the one with the, what's it called? Y-in stop. And I feel like I had those all printed already. And I do. Okay. So I grabbed the wrong ones somehow. Where are the correct ones? Yeah, here we go. So this is the updated part I had to print. This one does have the Y-in stop in it, so I'll need to add that Y-in stop in there. It does still use the M3 hardware though, so these are not the ones with pins. That's something that I could do later, but I definitely do not have those parts printed. We just have the hardware ones, and I think it'll be fine. It's just something to note. It's also not it's also not the SkeleFork version or the version with what was it? Double shear. Sorry, double shear. So I'm a little bit conflicted. Do I want to use this with a Y-in stop, or do I just want to do sensorless and figure out a way to either do that or add on a Y-in stop at a later date? I think for the purposes of this, we'll go with what we have and plan on using sensorless. And if that's just unreliable, adding on an in stop later, I can easily modify the stealth bracket here to have a Y-in stop position like this. Drive all day and work 2 hours. Jeez. Okay. So yeah, that looks like that goes on there like that. We'll go with that because I want to use the double shear. All right. So I am completely out of the small no drop nuts for this. And so I think what I'll do is plan to have, I don't know what I did with the rest of those no drop nuts. I don't know if I just didn't print enough of them, or if, yeah, I think I just didn't print enough. And so we're going to press forward with going straight up M3 nut, like normal. So I know that I need 6 at the bottom. So what you're saying is you don't have any nuts. Yeah, what I'm saying is I've got the droppable nuts. My nuts are able to be dropped. Oh. Yeah, it'd be really cool if someone had made, because you know, like on a 15 frame, that's hard to say. They have these nut bars that slide in here that you can mount your linear rails to. Makes it super easy, a lot more reliable than the printed ones with the M2 nuts in it. but there's not a version of that for the rest of the connections you make on the frame for M3. That would be really cool if someone had made that. So that's the bottom with the 6 nuts in there. Flip this 180. That does make sense. Here is the back side that we want to keep towards the back of the printer, and we'll just add in 4 up here when it's time to add on our top brackets. So for this one, I know that these are supposed to be kind of 2 on either side and then 2 in the center. So I'm just use the tool to move those roughly into place so that we can move them from underneath. It's a little bit shady. I wish I would have printed more no-drop nuts, but here we are. Let's get back down to where we were. Looks like M3x8s, just like before. So looking underneath, I'll just move these to where they need to be. Try to get these roughly in place. Yes, you have to be careful with the kind of no-drop nuts you use. There are various versions out there. Some of them don't work. There are details on top of these printed parts that might interfere with those no-drop nuts. So make sure you're printing the correct ones. There's also different ones for different extrusions. So if you have the Masumi style, you're going to need the Masumi no-drop nut. If you have the LDO style, you need the LDO no-drop nut. They're slightly different aluminum profiles. So if you get the wrong one, you're going to have a hard time. This might be easier if you go from underneath, but I think I'm doing okay. One's not grabbing, so I may have to readjust that, but one is grabbing, one is not. Okay, I'm not gonna do this. My back already hurts. So what we're gonna do is just take this off. I'll flip this upside down and we'll fight with it that way. It's going to be a little more tedious because the bar is going to want to drop out. But I'd rather do that than to strain and hurt my back again. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was getting out of bed yesterday and I tripped and fell somehow and tried to catch myself and completely torqued my back. Like to the point where I couldn't even go run today. I tried to, but it was just painful. Like I'd get a few steps and then went because it hurts. Okay, so you have to hold this at the same time as trying to line up the nuts here. So I'm going to push one to one location on either end. We'll see if we can make that work. So we'll push this one out. Get this screw out of here. Getting old. That's what my wife said, yeah. She's like, you're not 23 anymore. It's like, I feel 23. No, I've had back issues for a long time, just based on what I do. Just getting old, yes, means I'm not recovering like I used to. But yeah, I've had back pain for a while. Hips as well. Also both shoulders. Just falling apart. Part of that is because I've done a lot of crazy events and challenges and things like that. Ruck marches and Spartan races and competitions. Very, very active lifestyle. But then also my job used to be very physical as well. I don't do as much of it anymore, but all of those things kind of add up over time. Yeah, military life for sure. Get your back, shoulders, and knees. Knees feel okay for now, but I mean, that's because I'm doing the right things in other areas, trying to rehab myself. But if I continue to compensate for like a bad back or something like that, it can definitely travel to my knee because I'll be moving around off balance or one side to the other, and that's usually how it happens. Is you'll get like a bad back, so then you start compensating by walking differently, which puts additional strain on your knees in ways that it was never really intended to be, and then you end up hurting the knee, which then travels to the ankle and the foot and all these other things. And so, yeah, it's important to get this stuff taken care of on the way. Still a youngster? Yeah, I'm a little bit young. A little bit. I'll be 42 on Monday. Compensating shares the damage. Yeah. Yeah, your body's very good, and you don't even know you're doing it. Body's very good at compensating for weakness. So unless you intentionally focus on individual side-to-side movement, stretching, rehab, that kind of stuff, you're just going to be off balance. What's up, Boothie? Old dog. Yeah. Turning into a dinosaur, Boothie. Falling apart. Got a physical the other day, and now I have to do a bunch of ortho appointments to get checked out, make sure we all know how much I'm falling apart. These are M3x6s on the Z-axis. Okay. I literally have 2 of these left, so hopefully that's enough. And we don't need many more. Just like you. Yeah, just like you. Yeah, but we were trying to get back to the SkeleFork and get it moving along. It's been a while. To the point where I've forgotten what I've printed and what I haven't. I do want to make sure that this is even across. Let's get the rule out here. That's right about 70, actually about 69. Nice. And about 71 there. So we need to even that out. Let's move. Sorry, that's not 71. What am I talking about? That is 65 and like 68, 69. So we need to go to the right just a touch. That is 64. And that is, hold on, 69 there and 64 there. What did we do? So 67 now and 66. It's about good right there. I'm going to secure that there. Doing up the ones that go across the cross beam first, and then we'll lock it down to the vertical next, because those are loose enough to slide up and down. Got the wife texting me right now. She's at work today. That's why we're streaming today. She started a job a couple of weeks ago, and now sort of has a set schedule. So maybe we'll stream more often on Saturdays, do a lot more member type stuff. That's what I'm hoping for. You guys have been very patient, and I appreciate it. Okay. Gantry at the rear. These extrusions intentionally do not align. That is correct. We are sticking out on that vertical extrusion right there. It says mind the gap. There should be a small gap between the vertical and the horizontal. They should not be directly touching. If they are, adjust the Y rail extrusions as needed. Okay. There is a small gap there, so should be good to go. Cool. I know that we had moved and adjusted the Y rails, the linear rails themselves. So now that we have a good spacing, I'm going to push everything back to touching the A and B motor brackets, and then we'll give these a quick spin here. But before I tighten them down, I definitely want to put the rail alignment tools back on there. That's not the right one. Let's find it. There it is. Uh-oh. Let's put these back on here. Just snug those down. Got to be careful with these. They are easy to strip, even though they are socket heads. It's a very fine 1.5 millimeter tool. Boothie, how's your positron coming? You finish it yet? So for those that don't know, Boothie's doing a positron behind the scenes. Joining the cool kids club finally. That there, and that goes there. Let's move this back. Back. This one down. So folks, what do y'all think? Should we just get the gantry on and kind of pause, or do we got extra time today? I'm only about 40 minutes in, so we're sort of halfway through the allotted time that I've got. But if you want to continue on and maybe only get halfway through the next few steps, I'm open to doing that. Just like to find a good natural stopping point for streams, but it's a member stream, so we'll give you what you want. Right, those are good to go. Things move great. All right, back over. I imagine we're gonna do like, what you call it, bearings and all that kind of stuff. Actually, no, it looks like we're going straight into adding the things, but I want to say that's because on the stock version, we slip in the bearings. That is not the case for these. So for the stock stuff, we would slip our bearings in. For these, we have pins. And so I'm pretty sure that I need to build, I need to build bearing stacks first on the pins that we have. And so I'm going to do that. These, again, these are the SkeleFork ultralight pins. I don't know which is which and what we use where, but these are just aluminum pins. They kind of fit in some places, they kind of don't in others. I don't know what goes where. I believe half of these holes are for, oh man, these are going to be tight. Okay, let's do this. Let's look at the ultralight pins. Let's Google some stuff. Get smart on it first before we start to to do other things. Let me make this smaller. Positron so far. Nice. Go back over here. Let me look for the Valid Fork Ultra light pin. So this is the kit that I got. So this is the West 3D kit. It's only $12.50 for the kit. And then usually on these pages, they'll have a link for the mod itself. That's why I chose to come here. But I'm not seeing that on this particular page. Weight savings doesn't really matter. I didn't want it for that reason. I wanted it for not having to deal with stuff. Here we go. So KB3D actually has the pin mod. This is what it looks like here. Again, we're using slightly different AB motor mounts because we're using the SkeleFork stuff. Excuse me. 6 3x18s, 2 22s, and 2 14s. What goes where? These kits do not have several vendors selling a pin kit for the older 1.0 design. What is the example? These kits do not have the 14mm pins. Okay, so let's measure out these pins. Let's measure out these pins and see which is which. That's that. Let's get a better habit pattern by putting these in our tray here so we don't lose them. I really hope that we have pins that are 18, or I'm sorry, 14. These pins are 18mm. Alternatively, you can buy 3mm dowel pins in the appropriate lengths from McMaster-Carr. So I need to cut down 2 of these. I don't know the best way to do that. So I'm going to check to see if I've got 14mm pins in here, and I kind of don't. So there's 16s, 20s, and 12s. This is just a little pin kit, M3 pin kit. Bunch of different sizes in here for all sorts of things. Yeah. 12 and 16. Does 2mm really matter, or will 12s work here? That's what I don't know. I wonder if 12s will just work. We'll put those in there and try it out. Yeah, if you do anything with pin mods, it's really easy just to get one of these kits because now you have enough pins for all sorts of mods. I got this one for the tulip mod that we did on the V0, and there's enough here to do, I don't know, several printers. I think that kit was like $10, so it's not even really that expensive. Okay. Cool pictures. It doesn't really tell me what goes where though. Okay, here we go. 18 and 22 are used for the bearing stack on the AB motors. 14 are for the tensioners. And the 18mm pins are used for XY joints. Wait a second, do we have 14mm pins at all in here? No, those are all 18s. Yeah, it's 18s and 22s. So it's saying I need to cut 14s. for the tensioners. That should be fine. I think we're using a different tensioner anyway. So that may not even matter. But the long ones, they're saying are in the AB motors. I would imagine that these two pins go, when you're looking at the AB motor, that's the one here for the two bearings. Okay. Let me try to get that in there. These are not chamfered at all, and they're very squared off. So trying to get it in a hole that's already tight and meant to be, meant to be tight in there so the pin doesn't drop out. It's going to be very difficult to get that in there. So this one goes on this side, which looks like two bearing stacks here. Sorry, my head's in the way. My bad, folks. Two bearing stacks here, and then one right on that side. And then for the other one, should be the opposite way, right? So one bearing stack here on the top, and then two here on the outside. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do is just try to force this into the hole here. I do have a reamer. Let's try that. I actually listened and picked up a set of reamers. Let me just grab a hand tap, and I'll use that to put this in there. Where's my hand tap? This guy, maybe? All right, so we got our little hand tap here. I'm gonna try to use this. I think it may be too big. Nah, we'll get something else out. Oh, it actually did tighten down on there, so that'll be good. So let's try to tap these holes a little bit, or excuse me, ream these holes, just to get a little bit of an edge there. Now, once I get started, it should press in pretty easily. And then this one here, this one's actually feeling like the right size. Let's try this one in the corner. And while we're at it, we'll just ream out the holes for the motors. Make sure those are the appropriate size. They feel fine. I mean, I can get the tap slides right in there. Keep using the wrong term. I said tap. I meant reamer. So that's going right in, no problems. Good. All right, big pin. I think that's the big one. It looks like the big one. 22. Yes. Pull you guys back up here. Lost my chat window. We'll put this here. So just looking at the parts on this, the hole in the top of the upper piece is not blind. So if your pin is a little bit longer, I think that's okay. It is blind on the bottom, but only by like a millimeter. And so if it's stuck out the bottom, I think that'd be fine as well. So if you're having trouble here, I think you'd be okay. I think it'd be okay if you had pins that are a touch longer. I mean, obviously, gravity would make them fall out if it's too loose, but your top ones should be fine to do that. And then we just want to create enough space for that pin to sit where it's supposed to sit. And that looks good to me. And then the other pin will be an 18. So let's do that. Get us some bearings now and see if we can get these bearing stacks going. It's supposed to be 623s, I thought. What did I do with those bearings? Actually, let's find our PDF here. Bearings are supposed to be, yeah, F623s using M3 by 25s. But again, we're going to use the pins. So we'll see how that goes. 623s, I bet you they're back here in the box itself that we have not unpacked with the rest of the motion system components. 623s. Well, it's all panels. Those are other things, so maybe not. What did I do with those? I know that we have more just kind of spread around. It's not a huge deal. Let's see. So yeah, I've got a tray full of different bearings. These are 695s. Those are not correct. It's all different hardware. All right, to the stash. I very much could have taken these and put them anywhere. There's a couple 623s there. Those are not flanged. 95, 95. Not the right size. Here we go. These are 623s. So I'll need 6 per side. I think I have just enough for that. Oh, look at that. They're right in front of my face, right here. Right here. But we'll use what I've already taken out. Okay. So it looks like 2 bearings. And I'm probably gonna mess this up, but we're gonna go with it. So I'm gonna grab this top piece and we'll go 2 bearings. And there are not shims above this, which is weird. I thought there probably should be. Why? These pins are very tight. Like they don't want to go through the bearing at all. But you don't have a choice, dude. You're gonna go. All right, well, let's get the mallet out because that's like stuck. All right. And we'll do the same with this other one. Yeah, these pins are really tight through the bearings themselves, but they're loose in the hole above. It's very weird that that would be the case. It's not just this one. It's like all of them are very tight on there. But whatever, we'll figure it out. How do we want to do this? How do I want to do this? Anybody got any tips on how I should do this? I feel a little bad banging on it with a hammer. Let's move this down a little bit. Feel a little bad banging on it with a hammer, but I don't really have a choice. They are very tight. There we go. That's on. It's not going to move. Do the next one here. Oh, well, that's not good. I think I bent it. I didn't realize you could bend pins like that. Yeah, it's just this one bearing is just really tight. But you know what? We got other pins we can use. Don't need to use these, and I have a spare bearing, so I'm not going to deal with that. Let's get these other pins out. Got 20s in here. 20 should be good. And we've also got 25s. So if they stick out the top just a touch, not that big of a deal. Use a clamp with rubber jaws and tighten the clamp to push them on most pins. That's a good tip. Don't have a clamp. Actually, I do have a clamp. Don't let me lie to you. I do have a clamp. These are all 25s. So like I said, sticking out the top is not a bad thing. We could do that. Where are we at here? This guy. Let's see how these fit on here. Yeah, these fit a lot better than those other ones. They were just really sticky and not working out. So no clamp needed for the other pins. These are on with no slop. I'm using 25mm pins instead. And then it wants us to use, let's see, what are we using in between? The M3 shim. 2 M3 shims between the bearings to ensure proper alignment. Don't forget about them. Okay. So I've got these shims here. Came in the kit. Cheap ones from Menards or Depot. Yeah, don't have a Menards here. But I do have like a hand clamp that you would squeeze. I've got that kind of clamp. When I read it the first time, I thought you meant vise. And I don't have a vise. Because I don't have a workbench to have a vise. Okay, so we've got that on there. Cool. And then we'll do our 18mm pin, which is probably not going to work because it's going to be too tight. Let's see. Yeah, those pins need to be sanded, and I don't want to do that. But we can use a 16, I believe. Actually, no, let's use something a little bit longer. Let's use a 20. That's only going to be 2mm longer, so it'll come out the top just a touch, but that's fine. It goes there. We'll do that one like so. And now the trick is going to be putting this on here without dropping everything. So let's do this. And kind of flip this around, trying to keep things together like so. Fantastic. Do it like that. And then I'm going to get my parallel jaw pliers out and squeeze on that to press that into place. So we've got our jaw pliers here. Let's see how big we need this to be. So something like that. And then I can press this pin. One more click. There we go. Oh, it's too big. Oh, come on, you can do it. There we go. All right. Press that into place. And we're good. Let's try this other one. Press that into place. Sweet. That was not too difficult. I was fearing the worst. So we'll get one more of the longer 20mm pins here. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So this one goes here. So we could probably just push this in now. Although it's a little easier when it's all together. Trying to hold three things. Yeah, we'll bring this out just a touch here. And the other one. Okay, that should actually work now. So we'll do our long 20mm pin there. Sorry, that's the 18, I think. Yeah, that's the 18. That's the short one. This is the long one. Long one goes there. All right, got that. We'll do two bearings here. Come on. Yeah, that bearing's tight as well. But it did go, so that's fine. That, and then it looks like we're gonna be probably one short here. We'll dip in our bag of bearings it came with. The rest of those over there. And we'll do our two shims on, right? So our 0.5mm shims here. And then our third bearing. Yeah. And then lastly, this one here, like so. Great. Now try to do the same deal where we flip this without losing everything. Come on. All right. Something like that. Just like before, we use our parallel jaw pliers, press that into place. And I know that our upper pin here is kind of too far in, so we'll just push that down into place. Like that. Perfect. Is that just not lining up, or what's the deal here? It should be tighter than it is. Let's go one more click on this. Okay, so it looks like we're good there. We should be able to cinch everything down. What I think I failed to do was put, oh, come on. I forgot to do our nuts in here. But I don't want to take things apart. So, man, that's unfortunate. Okay, I think this one is actually loose enough to just hold the pins in the bottom and then come off the top. Yes, we're good. We need to put these 4 nuts in here. And we're about an hour in. Making good time. 3 and 4. Yeah, don't forget these. That's a lot. And while I'm at it, I don't think I'm using clicky, but I may. And so I think I'll just slide these in here anyway. That'll help us in the future with something. Maybe I want to add something there. Be awesome to have a couple nuts. So I'm going to add those 2 in the front that I said I was not going to add. Maybe we'll use it for a wiper or something else in the future. But I'd rather have them there now than not have them when I need them. All right, so that goes like that. Great. I did remember to do the ones in the top of the frame, though, so that's good. Moving those into place. And I think these are held in with 8s. We'll just have to go back up the manual here a little bit. Yeah, 8s. Get out of here. Okay, so a couple of 8s here. This is where we're going to need a shorty because the long one's not going to work out. Luckily, I've got shorties in here, like this. So that's the 1.5. This is the 2. And I've got shorties that can get underneath the frame. They're also small, so you can only really use 2 fingers on them, which is a benefit because now you can't over tighten with just using 2 fingers. Well, you probably could, but it's less likely. And that goes there. Another 3x8. Don't drop them all on the floor. Ugh. Oh, that's funny. I tried to put 2 screws in here, and I forgot that I only had the 1 nut in place. So it's like, why didn't that get tight? It's because I didn't move the other nut over. So let's do that. Take this guy out of here. Move this over. And put that in there. Great. Okay, 2 more. Or I guess 4 more, really. Move that over. Sorry if my big head gets in the way. Just gotta see what's going on. You guys are quiet today. Never happens. It is a little bit of a lazy Saturday, though, so I get it. Everyone's working, doing their thing. We're just hanging out building printers. Sweet. All right, a couple more over here. Gotta get the 2 outside. So these have the no-drop nuts. I was actually smart enough to do that. Just forgot them in other places. Building your A4T, ditching and jabber crappy. What's wrong with it? Why do you guys hate it so much? I've never tried one. I honestly don't know what's going on with it. Yeah, why is that not... I see why. It came out the bottom a little bit. Let's press that back through. There we go. And Howie, why A4T and not A5T? Okay, we're good. It only took way too long. We made a way. Once you got past the clogging, LDO printed parts in the extruder failed. Reprinted and GF pinholes still broke out. Tired of rebuilding it. I get it. I think if I have to rebuild an extruder more than twice, it also makes me angry. So, understand. Are we doing motors now? I think it's time to do motors. Let me grab those. We got these little NEMA 14s here. These are 35 STH 52 1504. These little guys. I haven't used little guys like this in a while. A5T is new. You're tired of guinea pigging new stuff. I gotcha. I gotcha. A5T, all it is A4T, but for bigger fans. So it's new in the sense that it's just a modified version of an existing proven tool head. So it's just a carrier for an extruder and some fans. You know, A4T fit your crossbow. Yeah, A5T is not going to work with that. It's just me trying to do something different and new. Okay, that is there. I did print the tool to align the pulleys, and I put that tool right here. You had the fans already? Yeah, I got you. All right, it says we're going to do B first. 16 tooth pulley with the flange down. All right. I don't... Oh, that's right. We're going to do... yeah, we're going to do 1.5 GT on this. That's right. So I do have some 1.5 pulleys here. So we'll just need 2 of those. I'm not exactly sure how many teeth are on this. They look a little big. So those may be for like 20 tooth replacement. And I know that I want smaller. Yeah, here we go. So I've got these smaller ones here. And I could tell just by looking at them, right? So we'll hold these up so everybody can see. Both are 1.5 GT. But when you look at the diameter of these, one is bigger than the other. So we want the smaller of the two for printers for ants type things and stuff. So I even did a good job and I labeled the bag 1.5 GT. These pulleys can go back to where they came from. Ah. And we probably need some grub screws as well. So we got those here. Let's make sure they're the right size. Got our little tool. And yeah, they're going to be fine. So I know we need 4 of these. And the rest of those will be saved for the other pulleys. These are 2.5 millimeter, I believe. That's what you need for a tool. Nope, I'm lying. 2 millimeter. One more here. We'll do some Loctite on these after the fact. They're pretty accessible from where it is. And so once we get belts on, I believe that I'll be able to sneak a tool in the backside of here and get to those grub screws. So I'll take one out at a time and go from there with the Loctite. So just got that on there kind of loose. We'll set our little tool here to the B side. We'll use that to like formally align this. So that's about right. I'll snug that where it is. If there's an adjustment, it might only be maybe 0.5 millimeter up or down. All right, that should be good there. B side is this side closest to the camera. Remember, printer left is B. The wiring, I want to go towards the center of the printer. So we'll do it that way. This will go on there like so. Don't forget your double shear if you're going to use it. And this is for the A side, and the B side is kind of a mirror. But you could tell because it's not going to fit if you try to go the other way. They are keyed side to side. So that's really easy. I would imagine the hardware used here to hold these motors in is a little bit longer than the manual says. So the manual tells us it should be M3x25s, socket head screws. But my guess is that with these double shear on here, it's not going to work out. And just holding that up, I can tell you that that is too short. So let's try some 30s. 30s should work for us. I think what's in here is not, yeah, those are also not 30s. Those are 25. So good. We've got some of that black nickel plated hardware in here that I need to use. And 30s kind of still feel like they're not long enough. All right, well, let's do something even bigger. Let's grab some 35s. Uh-oh. Jumped the manual all the way back to the beginning somehow. We're not doing any of that yet. We're still in Gantry. Coming back up here. There we go. There we go, right there. So 35s, that's what we wanted. I think these should be long enough. Wiring to the center, double shear in place. Ooh. Actually, I am incorrect. So there's room in here to, yeah, there's room in here to have the original hardware. So yeah, 25s will work. I didn't even notice that. We're going a little bit off script using KP Never Wrong. No, I'm wrong on this. So 25s are going to work for us here. 25s are going to work. They're countersunk into the part. And that's good because when you try to put your double shear on there, it's actually going to hold. So what I don't know is how do you secure your double shear? Because otherwise that's going to like move around, you know? It's not secure in place. So maybe it's because this is optional and not mandatory. So it accounts for that. I want mine to stay in place. So I am going to use the 35. But I guess you don't have to. That's weird. It's really weird. I just hope these don't stick out too far. So let's test this out. Yeah, that on top should be fine. Should be fine. Using 35 with our double shear. And if I'm worried about it, I can add a few of these washers on here. I got these fancy blue washers just left over from different builds. And these are blue. They kind of don't super go with the build. We could use these black ones. They're a little larger. So what do you guys think? Should we go with these black ones on here? Like that? The black kind of does go with the frame a little bit. Tie it together. But then we also have these. There's silver ones, and then there are blue. There's also pink, but pink doesn't really match with what we're doing. So the blue is just too blue. So I think black is the way to go here. Just looks the best of the options and kind of breaks up the color scheme that we have going on up top here. So all those screws are in place. Let's see about doing up this motor. That, get our tool. Actually, where's my, let's get the long boy out. Reach way down in there. Do have to be careful not to over tighten. You can strip out the motor. I've definitely done that. Done that on other printers before. Not fun. Okay, what else do we have here? We've got a motor side now. In the manual, they're going to want me to install the Y-in stop and things like that. That's not possible with what we have here. So I either need to modify this bracket for a Y-in stop or run sensorless homing. I think we're going to go with sensorless homing first, and then if that becomes a problem, we can modify from there. All right, so for the A motor, we're going to use the A motor side of the tool. Flange goes up, and then just using the tool to go off the corner because that provides the most stability so the tool isn't rock. You can see how much more meat you have at a corner than you would off the side. This can rock and throw your bearing placement out of whack. Or sorry, your pulley placement out of whack. So looking for the right tool here, this guy. We'll get them snug so they don't move on their own, and then use the tool to get it aligned. So make sure that is where we want it to be. And once it is, we can snug that down. Again, we'll come back later, Loctite these. You should definitely be Loctiting your grub screws. You do not want those coming out at the wrong time. All right, that fits in there just fine. Looks appropriate. Let's get some more washers out. More hardware. We've almost got this gantry on. So double shear like so. Oh yeah, I just remembered. So for those that haven't really been following the build, I thought about doing inverted electronics. But there's also not, at the time, there was not a inverted electronics mod for SkeleFork, but there is now. As of a week ago, Physi's Tech put out a inverted electronics mounting system for the SkeleFork. And so that's what I've got printing on the machine right now, are all of those panels. Had I noticed a week ago, I would have printed them, but here we are. Yeah, he just silently uploaded them, and I don't follow along that closely to have recognized it. So the same system we're doing on the Legacy Fork, we'll be using on this one as well. And I think that's pretty cool to have inverted electronics on the small guy, the small version of the Legacy Fork. Cool. So that's there. And then there are two small points here to put a button head screw to hold that into the gantry. It's a M3x6, which I don't have any more of in the kit. I feel like they didn't give me any M3x6s. Nonetheless, I've got enough of spare hardware to compensate. As soon as I find it. Here we go. Just pull out some 6s. And you will need to jam that in there. It's pretty tight. You can get it in there with your tool. And then there's a very convenient hole from the top that allows you to access that screw. And now we have 4 points of securement, if that's a word. Securing. 4 points to secure your motor. You might be able to get away without doing this, but it's going to be much more difficult after you have your belts on there. A lot more difficult to access that. So don't forget to do those. It's easy to forget. All right. I think next is idlers, like front idlers. So let me clean up a little bit. Let's put some stuff away to make some room. And we'll move our parts tray up here. Get rid of some of this. So our pins, great. And 35s can go away. All right. Looking at the manual now. Pin mod is good, but we need this. Okay, so that's the little screw right there in the back that we need, so don't forget that one. And then we have our bearing stacks in the order they're supposed to be. Again, I'm not going to do this wind stop. I will prioritize sensorless homing. And then if I need to go back and modify a bracket, I will. We've done our A motor, also the A motor bearings. So this is where we are here with the heat inserts for the front tensioners. So even though we're doing Mad Max, the majority of the build is a stock build. It's just slight changes here and there based on the mods that I'm doing. And so for this one, we're doing a couple of bearing stacks here. So let me find these parts. We'll get the bearing stacks on, hopefully get those mounted to the front, and we'll be that much closer to running belt. I have 1 and 2. I think, yeah, so these parts here, they're actually labeled. So B and A. You can see those in the print themselves, B and A, which is great because that will tell you which side it's supposed to go on. So we already said that B is your B-side idler. I'm sorry, your left side idler, and then A would be your right side. So we know that. I just need to find the inserts for these now. Pretty sure I printed them. Where are they? I know that I said I would organize parts. I did not listen to that. I just did whatever I wanted to do. I never organized anything. And so I'm not sure that I actually even printed the inserts for the idlers. I know I have the front covers. That's that guy there. And there's that guy there. And so I would think that I had done the inserts as well. Here we go. That one and that one. Sweet. Yeah, I really got to get back to remembering where I'm at on this. But these are the two that we're going to use. They go inside there. And then we have blue covers for the front. This is probably a good opportunity to have these be yellow or something like that. I'm just going to go with what we have instead of trying to reprint things. They already have heat inserts in them, and it looks like we're using screws, but these actually use pins. Again, this is the SkeleFork version, and that uses pins. So what I'll do is I'll flip us back over to our Chrome tab here. We'll make our, so you can see these on the PDF, we're using socket head screws, but for the pin mod, I'll scroll up a little bit here. You can see it just uses a pin. And that pin is, according to this, it looks like 14mm pins are used in the tensioner. It looks to have a little bit of slop in there, so I think if we do 16, it may work. So we'll get our little kit out here. These are 16s. Let's try one out. Because I do not like those, the tightness on those aluminum pins. Let's test this one. This is a 16 here. Slightly too long. So let's go with a 12. 12 may be too small, but if that is the case, I don't know what we're going to do. We'll have to cut down some pins at a later date. We'll just start working on maybe a tool head or something. I don't know. All right, 12 works. It's in there. It's got some slop. It may fall out of there, but we're going to try it. It looks like all we got to do... Where's my camera looking weird? Come on. It's like focusing weird. But with this, there's no shim top and bottom, it looks like, maybe? Where's the PDF? Here we go. Yeah, shim on the top only. I don't know, it's hard to tell. It doesn't say. Tell you what, let's go to our CAD model. What does the CAD have on it? Do that. This can be hidden. And hide that. Hide that. Hide that. Okay, so I'm seeing a shim up top. And there does appear to be one at the bottom as well, right there. Okay. That's hard to tell from the manual. The manual only shows you the top view, even though in the picture here on the left, it appears to have two shims. But we'll go with it. Okay. I think after we get this all settled in, we'll start wrapping up the stream. All right, so the way I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna just kind of hold it in my hand. Try to get my head out of the way here. We'll get that in there, like so. Try to hold this. The rest of the bearings are right next to me. Dump out those. All right, and let's try to get this going. So flange down, flange up. It's going to be tight on this small pin here, and like so. And then I'm going to just hold that like I'm holding it and try to put it together like that. Yeah, that does not want to stay. That pin is a little bit too short. That sucks. Okay, so we're going to have to use either a 14 or a 16. Just really wish it would have sent me the correct pins. As are these. These are 18s. I do have a bunch of extra pins too outside of this kit. So let me grab that. Hopefully I have something that works. If not, we're gonna be what the folks call SOL. I got a bunch of other pins here. 25s and more 20s. Some threaded rod, some 30s. These are, I don't know, what are these? 17? Standoffs, more pins. Might be some 14s in here. These look pretty small. Size of these. Yeah, more 17s. That's a weird size, 17. I bet you it meant to be an 18 and they just sent whatever. Yeah, we do not have that. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to make 16s work. These are standoffs. It's not what we need. Okay. Well, got two options here. We could reprint these, reprint them in yellow, so they stand out a little bit, but then also the other option would be to force this 16 millimeter pin in there. It's off by just like, I mean, technically 2 millimeters, but I think if we modified that a little bit, it would fit in there. I don't know that it needs to be, yeah, like it'll be fine just to nip that out of there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some flush cutters and just clip these little ends. Come on, camera. Focus. There we go. Just clip the little end right there next to the hole to enlarge that space to allow it to move. And if I clip the upper portion in the bracket here, just I was double checking to see how it slid in there. If I clip the upper portion, it'll be gravity that holds that in there, so it shouldn't fall out. So I'm just going to clip one side, that little bit of plastic there, just take that out of there to allow me to use this longer pin. Like that. And then when I settle that in, it'll snap right in, no problem. So that's the plan. Let's see if it actually works. Build our bearing stack again. Good to go. And we'll do it this. Sorry if I'm getting in the way here. That, and then put some pressure on that and just seat it in there. Yeah, that actually it worked better than I thought. So we get that in there, and yeah, good to go. There's the one for the A motor side. And then we'll do the same for the B motor side here. That'll be this upper portion. Let's nip this out of here. We'll do the same thing with a 16mm pin. Bearings. Couple shims. Doing this one-handed is always fun. So I'm trying to stay down low to the desk, not only so you can see what's going on, but also so I don't drop things. These parts are really tiny. Okay. Got the stack together. Trying to maneuver that into the thing. Go. A little bit of pressure. And then press down on the desk. Because we want that thing to be vertical as possible. So if you don't trim it just right or whatever, it may not be perfectly vertical in there. And then you're going to end up with some belt alignment issues. So be aware of that. Cool. And there's our B, so that should go on the left-hand side. Great. So we got both of those done. Those are in the carriers. Going through, it has us mount the tensioner housing, I guess, for lack of a better word. Mount the tensioner housing first with some M3x8s. Spin this dude around, and we'll get those on. Okay, so this one here should have 4 available, what do you want to call it? No drop nuts in the frame. So let's get these. Get this hardware aligned with the holes in the brackets. Just roughly aligned. And roughly aligned there. Okay. And once we slide that in, let's get our M3x8s on it. I swear there's not enough hardware for this. I feel like they just didn't give me enough. I'm out of M3x8s now. Yeah, thank goodness I got these short tools, because trying to use a ball head driver on this with everything being so close to the frame, that's gonna suck. Just gonna move the bed frame out of the way here. And get the tool in. Okay, that one, and then we need some 8s at the bottom. But again, they didn't really give me a whole bunch of 8s. So unless I'm missing something, which is possible, it's entirely possible. Ooh. Pins didn't work. Oh, sorry, fat head's in the way there. Keep doing that. I don't know what's going on. Keep putting my head in the way. Yeah, there's definitely not enough M3 hardware. Okay. Well, we'll use my own. Get these other 2 into the bottom. And I think after this, might have to call it. Right about the 2-hour mark right now. It's about all the time I got. I got to run some errands before things close today. We'll be back tomorrow working on Legacy Fork. For those that usually join on Mondays. Or I'm sorry, on Sundays. What am I talking about? Tired. Tired, folks. Yeah, this one doesn't want to grab the nut there. Don't know why. Let's try our ball driver. Maybe it's just a weird angle. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's so close to the front linear rail that the driver's in at a weird angle. It's just not grabbing the nuts. That, go here. Okay, this guy can go back into the housing. That, same for this. So just get the no drop nuts lined up. Same for the bottom. Yeah, getting dangerously low on M3x8s here. May have to place an order. I don't know if I have any more laying around anywhere. Oh, that's a 6. That's not going to work. Okay, 2 more. So let's do the hard one first. Where's the ball end? This guy. And one more. Yeah, and for any members that may be watching this later on replay, it'll be private just for you guys for about a month or so, maybe 6 weeks before we make it public. That's what you guys saw today, I think it was, and the other day, where the salad fork theme went public. They're scheduled to do that after a certain period of time, and that would be the case for today's stream as well. So for those members that are worried about, I don't know, maybe others getting in before you have a chance to catch the stream, don't worry about it. You've got plenty of time before it goes live to the public. Hopefully we'll be done with this before too long. It just takes a little while. I imagine the tuning and the prep, getting things to work correctly is going to be the biggest challenge. Right, things are in, and then just thread the screws in enough to engage the heat sets. We will add tension later after running the belts. Cool, and these are M3x25s. And I definitely got some of those. These are 25. So it has us just putting these through here, but traditionally I like to add a washer to these. I just feel like they grab, any of the button heads would grab the plastic and not spin as freely. So I usually just add a washer on the end, press that through. And it might not be a bad idea to ream this out so it doesn't try to grab the plastic either. That way you got enough room. So we've already got the reamer out from before. Just run that tool through here a little bit. That way things slide smoothly. The direction doesn't really matter on these. They're good for both sides, and there's no real upside down for them either. They go in either way. So quick reaming of the holes here. Lets that slide a lot easier. It should help make your tension more even. And so once these go in, let's see. Let's get these, those lined up. Like, what's happening? There we go. So I just need to pull that idler forward. And even using the 16mm pin, it is just shy of where that needs to be. So do like so. I'm just putting it in until it just starts to grab the heat set. Trying to follow the manual here. Okay, so it's probably easier for you if you just remove it like that and then try to thread this in and just get it to be equal on both of your heat inserts there. And then when you slide this back in, just push it all the way through. That's still going to be a little bit loose in there. It might fall out depending on your print tolerance, but for the most part, it should be fine. There's enough friction on the parts sliding back and forth that they should keep themselves in place unless you're really moving the printer around. So that's a huge washer. I don't want that. That one through. That one. Cool. So. All right. So doing the same as before, just making sure that the screws engaging the heat insert about equal. I'm going to slide that back in. Why are you not working here? Oh, it is upside down. There is an upside down. I lied. So there's a flange here on the side that's wider and then narrower. So there is actually an upside down. So let's flip that around. I guess on the first try, I just got lucky and had it right. Cool. So that should, there we go. Now that looks right. Perfect. We get some idler slash tensioners on the front. We've got AB motor mounts at the rear. I think the next thing is going to be Gantry. I think next is Gantry. Yeah, invert the printer, do your XY joints, and then install those with M2 by 12. Okay. Let's see about getting that on really quickly. See how fast this will take. All right, let's make sure you guys get a good shot here. Give you that angle. Okay, so these, and then our XY joints are here. Again, I've already got the heat inserts placed for both of those. Looking at the photo, appears to be this way. This hole needs to go towards your AB mount, so this would go on the opposite side. This is the one for this side. So like that, right? Two heat inserts here, additional hole towards your, what is that, the B motor, towards your B motor, going like that. We did say M2 by 12 socket heads on here. Just going through the rest of the kit, those are nowhere to be found. So let me grab my M2 hardware. So always be prepared. Got an M2 hardware kit here. Inside here are a bunch of M2 nuts and things. But most importantly, there are these washers. And so for me, I like to add a washer to anything that is touching plastic, especially if I want to make it tight. So this will help from that very small headed hardware sinking into the plastic too far and causing any damage. So because I don't know what hardware is which, I mean, it says 12. Let's try and measure this out, make sure we are grabbing 12s. That looks right. And then I'm going to add on one of these washers. So that might take away a millimeter, but I want to try it. So that, pressing that through, looks like we've got a few threads on there. Should be okay. Find out here in a second. Yeah, so we should be fine doing it the way that I'm doing it. If you have washers that are a little bit thinner, I would recommend you use those. But these appear to be about 1 millimeter. So I'm actually using 11s, I guess. You consider that the washer is 1 millimeter in length, or in height, excuse me. I'm going corner to corner, just getting things snug. And then once we get the entire gantry assembled, I'll go ahead and tighten them down. It doesn't tell me to do that in the manual at all, but I just know that I'm gonna want some slop here. What's up, Mike? Checking back in. Welcome back. AB motors are on. Front tensioners / idlers are on. We're now getting ready to put the gantry X-beam in place. So the XY joiners are getting installed right now. Just using the tiniest hardware. These M2s. Just going through, tightening each one little by little. Again, if you're not using washers on here, don't go so far that you're like digging into the plastic. You just want them on there snug. So I'm turning with a couple of fingers until in like a cross pattern, or a figure 8 pattern probably, until it stops turning, and then that's when I stop turning as well. And so that's on there pretty rigid. We still have smooth movement through the linear rail, and there's no twisting on that. So it's probably good enough there, and we don't need to go much further than that. So you don't have to hand fist everything. I'm working with small hardware here. All right, same thing for this. Tight until cracked and quarter turn back. Yeah. Yeah. That's what makes these printers one of the more difficult ones to build, is that all the hardware is really small. And If you're used to just cranking down on larger hardware, you really got to back it off because the hardware is so small on this printer that if you do that, you're going to strip stuff, you're going to break stuff, and that's going to be a pain. Because if you strip out a linear rail, that's an entire $30 out the window. Hardware, a little bit less, but it's going to be difficult to get it out. Okay, that's good right there. That one's good. And that one's good. Was it foolish to order those all-wheel drive for NEMA 17 motors? Should have gone with 14. I don't know if it was foolish. What size is your printer? I think that's what matters. If you have a 350, you're probably okay. But if you're doing it on a 250 or a 180, probably would have went with 14s. You get similar performance. Yeah, so for your 350, you're probably okay with NEMA 17s. You're going to lose a little bit of space at the front corners. Not a ton, maybe, 20 millimeters or so on both corners. That'd be like Y travel, I believe. And then only at the very, very front. For your 300, I mean, realistically, if you're using NEMA 14s, you're only going to lose maybe 15 millimeters instead of 20, so it's not a huge difference. If you need every little bit of space on that, though, might be an issue. I mean, I have a 300 V2.4 over there that has NEMA 14 all-wheel drive on it. But I don't think it's foolish. It just really depends on what you want to do. Okay, that's that. We're good there. Next step, what are we doing? Ooh, building some XY joints. Great. Let's dig those out. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Purple. Got him. So let me make some space here. Oh, that's that. Okay. Ow. Hit myself on the forehead with the printer. Okay, so this is for this guy. We'll put that to the side. All right, we need this one? No? This one? Yeah, this one. B motor. Again, I believe this is a pin modded version. I can't really tell. Yeah, right there. Pin there and pin right there. So let's go back to our pin mod page. Bring you guys over. Let's see. We said this 18 millimeter pins are used for the XY joints. Great. We don't have to chop anything down. So we should be able to use 16s here. Let me scroll down. Yeah, there's enough space in there to use 16s. They go pretty far into the parts. We'll just prioritize them going into the top half for this upper idler here. So we got our pins over here. I've got my 16s. Sorry, not that one, this one. So a couple of 16s. And yeah, these are the top half, so I'm going to add that there. And let's see if I can tap this in with a smaller driver. Nope. Don't want to hit my finger either. So let's do this. Let's hold it with the parallel jaw. And then we'll tap it in with the larger mallet. So this guy here. Okay, so more pressure. Let's try that. Okay, so we got it in there. Tap that all the way in, and then I'll go ahead and do the other side here. On this one, it doesn't go too far into the top piece. That's a pretty shallow hole. Same over here. So not worried about it too much for that pin. But for this pin, I want it to go in a little further based on what we saw a second ago. Great. So that is that. We'll hold on to those in case we need to squeeze things together. All right. Move you out of the way. Okay. We're doing no bearings in between, I think. What does our manual say here? Yeah, no bearings. Okay. Oh, sorry, no shims, no shims. We'll grab 4 bearings out of the stack here. Some of these just are tight. What is happening? So some of these just slid right on, no problem. Others just have a hard time going onto the pin. So like that one just doesn't, it's going, but it's taking a lot of pressure to make that go on there. I don't really want to like get it jammed, but yeah. Okay, so I'll tell you what, let's use these. Open the jaws a little bit and press with the tool and get that on there. And they do spin, so it should be fine. Let's try the other side. Yeah, see, and for that one, it just goes right on. No big deal. Some of these just do not want to play nice. Okay, so that's that. We got a couple more we need to do here. They said 16s, so let me grab a couple more. That's over there. This is this one here. This pinhole is a little bit shallow, but I believe it'll be okay. I'll tell you what, let's try this. I'm gonna hold it with these. And I'll press on it with this. Oh, it's not gonna work. So we'll find the matching bottom. We'll press it into the bottom and leave the top just to capture it after the fact. The bottom side of the XY joint should have a little more space to, where are these at? To grab the pin. But I'm not sure where that is, actually. Looking through my box of parts here. I'm pretty sure I printed them in blue, because it would be the opposite of the part we have. But I don't see them right now. And that's frustrating. Because I'm pretty sure that I put all the parts together. So my XY joints should be in this box here with our skirts and our other docks. But they're not in here. There's definitely not a third box of parts. There better not be. Huh. Wonder where they could be. Well, that's annoying. Anybody know what happened to the parts? You guys know where I put them? Because I sure don't. I have no clue. We might be at a standstill because I don't know. It's been so long, I'm not even sure that I printed them. In which case, I would need to. Gonna say you're gonna have a rough time running those with no bearings. Rarely plan plate capacity. Yeah, same. I don't print full capacity. All right. Well, let's see what else we can do. So I'm not gonna be able to get the gantry fully in. But the axis is good. That's really kind of it. They want us to do clicky next. I'm not doing clicky. I'm gonna skip all of that. It wants us to do carriage and belts next. Okay, so this is probably the part that is a good stopping place. So it looks like I need to print 2 more pieces. And while I'm at it, I need to do a little bit of research on other things as well, like the carriage. I need to figure out if that's going to take a cartographer or a beacon or what that looks like. Yeah, because all of this stuff is where we go off the charted course and start to do our own thing. None of this carriage is going to match what we're doing. I'm still printing electronics, so I think our next member stream should probably be going through the electronics panel, just like we did with SkeleFork. We'll lay out the EMS system. We'll talk about where we're going to put all the components and then get that installed in the bottom of the printer. On this one, it's actually going to be easy. I'm not doing the weighted plate. So having the inverted electronics are going to be easy access for us. So I'm kind of excited about that one. Also, we'll probably build a tool head if you guys are cool with that. So otherwise, I'm going to wrap it there for today. I need to do a little bit of wiring on the bed fans just to get that in place. I need to reprint a bracket for a thermistor. And yeah, I gotta find those other half of the XY joints. So pretty good progress for today. What I will say is that I plan to come back next Saturday and get to work on this again. Try to get them a little more. Good night, Boothie. Thanks for hanging out. Get a little more done on this next week, Saturday. So it'll probably be another member stream. I'm gonna try to get that posted a little bit earlier for the members that could not make it this time. That way there's plans and you can have notifications and whatnot. Tomorrow we will be back on SkeleFork, so I'll see you at the same time, 0730 Pacific. For those that hung out today, thank you so much. We'll see you guys tomorrow.